everyone, welcome back for another Daily Dose of Hope. I'm Jody Burgin. In the midst of this COVID-19 pandemic, I see daily people facing very difficult situations. Although I am in awe of your courage to face what you're going through, I admire your compassion you're extending toward other people. I have to say, frankly, I'm concerned about some of you. I can see pressure and stress on your faces. It communicates to me the risk of secondary traumatization and distress and burnout or even illness. So naturally, it makes me wonder about your self-care. I have a wonderful little book in our kids' room that our grandchildren just love and that really impacts me as well. It's all about buckets. Have You Filled Your Bucket Today is the title of the book by Carol McLeod. Its premise is really simple. We will become in our lives what we put in our buckets. If we fill our buckets with a critical spirit, we'll become cynics. If we fill our buckets with joy, we'll become happiness. I'm tempted to put jelly donuts in my bucket just to see what will happen. But let's talk about buckets for just a second. Picture, if you would, a bucket that represents your inner life. What does your life feel like when your bucket is filled to the brim? How would you describe full bucket living? I am at my best, Jody, when my bucket is filled up. I have energy. I feel replenished. I feel creative. I feel connected with God at a deep level. I love my friends, my spouse, even my weird cousin Eddie. I love perfect strangers. Heck, I even love Steeler fans if my bucket is full. When I'm filled up, I make much better choices about my schedule, about my food that I intake into my body, about the rest patterns that I observe. Now hold on to that image for just a second and let's switch gears. Now if you would, picture an empty bucket. And now I want you to think with me about times when you're depleted, when your bucket is empty. What does that feel like? When I ask people, they often will mention resentment. I resent something or somebody. They mention irritation. Something minor goes wrong and I just pop my cork. I get things all out of proportion very easily. I snap at my spouse. I lose my temper with people I work with. I kick the dog. Some people, when their bucket is empty, they withdraw. They isolate. They become loners. Some overeat. Some overdrink. Some over-medicate. Some overwork. Some escape into movies or novels or television. Some waste hours surfing social media, just admiring other people's lives instead of living their own. Some overspend. They turn to a credit card for that type of quick hit that will fit into a shopping cart. So I think it's safe to say that none of us are at our best when we're depleted. We're at our best if our bucket is full. We're at our worst if our bucket is depleted. Now here's the question of today's daily dose. What is your replenishing strategy? What have you learned about yourself that keeps your bucket full? All human beings need adequate rest, good nutrition, physical exercise, healthy recreation, deep laughter, mental stimulation. We need emotional health and nurturing relationships and fellowship with God. All of these aspects are interrelated. If we neglect our needs in one of these areas, then that will have a negative effect upon the other areas of our lives. For example, a healthy diet makes us feel better physically, but it also affects our emotional well-being. Now, a healthy diet includes a variety of vegetables and fruits that are and meats that are mostly lean and unprocessed, at least some fish, whole grains, only limited amounts of high sugar, low fiber carbohydrates. Did you also know that a healthy spiritual diet not only helps you with your faith and your spirit, but it has positive effects upon your body and your mind as well? Thousands of Research studies have been reviewed by Harold Koenig and others at the Duke University Medical Center, and they have shown that prayer and other religious practices, it has a beneficial effect on your physical and mental health. Those who worship and pray regularly, for example, have a stronger immune system than compared to those who do not do those spiritual disciplines. Overall, they have a reduced risk of depression and anxiety. Nurturing the spirit also nurtures the mind and the body. Now, to get our needs met, we first have to admit that we have them. Friends, we are not machines. If we want to live meaningful, productive lives in the midst of this pandemic, we must nurture ourselves. Like it or not, we have to get our personal needs met. To be human is to have needs. And to be clear, no one can do this for you. Your manager cannot, your spouse cannot, your neighbor cannot. This is your responsibility to do self-care. So my prayer is that you'll put a stake in the ground today and say, I am done living in this empty, depleted condition. May you have the kind of humility and conviction it'll take to mark today as the day that living on empty stops. We are at our best when our bucket is full.